right, well, let's get started. Welcome to our Hollow Bones Circle. In case you haven't met me yet, I'm Phoenix Rising Star. I'm the director of the Hollow Bone Journey. And our Hollow Bone Circle is our monthly free event where we take the meditations from the Hollow Bone of healing and we loosely apply them to different topics so that you can see how easy it really is to live while being the hollow bone. And so today's topic is remove your energy blocks and step into or ensure a smoother flow of divine energy. Now, that's quite a title. And I always ask the angels and guides, what am I talking about? And then tell me what to say. And so they are the ones that name that. And what I love about it, when we're ensuring a smooth flow of divine energy, and that's like how life is meant to be, right? It's like everything works, everything's easy, everything feels right. It lines up. We don't have to think about it. It just happens. Don't we want this all the time, for heaven's sakes? Of course we do. But we're human. We're human and our stuff is going to come up. And that's what I'm talking about with energy blocks. It's just our stuff coming up. Now, a couple of things. I don't want you to be in a place of self-judgment, all right? Because we all have this, right? Our stuff is always going to come up as long as we're growing and changing. That's what it's all about. Anytime we do something new or different, our stuff's going to come up. So, okay, we just accept that and don't judge yourself for it, okay? So, just really take that into your heart, make that so. Now, the other thing that I really want you to take into your heart, and I will talk more about this, but sometimes we're not ready to deal with our stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. If we're not ready, we're not ready. Don't beat yourself up. Don't try to force it. Don't try to make it. Just allow. When you're more uncomfortable with it than without it, you'll do something about it. It's that simple, you know? So just make sure you're not just telling yourself a story about, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And when you're really just terrified, right? Because then that's a different story we have to deal with. This gets really, really complicated. And we don't have a lot of time. We only have an hour. So I'm going to try to make it as succinct as possible and not try to turn it into a 6-week class that's packed into too little time because we don't want to go there. We just want to make this easy. Okay, so if you're on my email list, last week you had received, or earlier this week, you had received an email from me talking about this and how you can recognize an energy block, either by what you say or what's going on in your life. And there's always so many more ways to do it, but it was just kind of to get you thinking about things. So some of the things that we might say are like, oh, I could never do that. I, well, who would ever want to read my book, take my class, work with me, that kind of stuff when we go, oh, can't, shouldn't, won't, those kinds of things. Those are definitely some limitations. Let's call them limitations and not blocks. What they do is they keep that divine flow from going in 99% of the ways it wants to come in. And you're saying, no, no. And you're trying to direct it over here to 1%, and that doesn't work. That just doesn't work. So any no is going to be a stop, right? The energy is going to stop flowing. We don't want the divine energy to stop flowing. We want it to keep flowing. We want to be in that beautiful place of allowing and receiving and making everything easy and not having to think about it and just being there. That's what the goal is, that place of perfect balance. So anything that's stopping the flow, anything that's limiting the flow or redirecting the flow is going to be in our way, right? So the things we say to ourselves, like all the no's, I can't, I shouldn't, I couldn't, but also take a look at maybe some of the ways in which you are reacting in life. Like, are you overeating or maybe just overeating certain things that taste really good to you, like sugar or carbs or something like that, or not eating enough because maybe it just makes you so nervous. Something in your life is making you so nervous that you're trying to control it and you don't eat because it just makes you sicker or whatever, or the things we tell ourselves are always in the back here. So pay attention to extremes in your life. Too much, too little. It doesn't have to be food, could be money, could be relationships or types of relationships. Or where are you going? What are you spending your time and energy on? When we start really analyzing our life, this can start to drive you a little crazy. So that's why I said at the beginning, no judgment here. No judgment. We all go through this and we all have stuff. So we're not going to deal with all of it today. We're going to deal with one thing today, whatever one thing you are ready to deal with today. So just let the other 99,000 things kind of wait for their own timing and they will have it. But today is just one simple thing. And I'm going to show you some simple tools that will empower you to have in your toolbox so that when your stuff comes up, you'll have ways to handle this, right? So that you can ensure a smoother flow of divine energy, all right? So now you kind of have some clues as to what to look for in your life, but why does this happen? Why does our stuff come up? Well, it always comes up when we're getting ready to do something new. Because the brain is looking at this and going, I don't know. The last time you did something new, it wasn't pretty. You kind of got publicly humiliated. In a past life, you were probably put to death for this. Are you sure you want to do this? And so the brain is trying to limit you from, scary, awful things. Because that's what the brain does. It keeps us safe. But the problem is when we're wanting to do something new or different, or when we're guided to do something new or different, that's all coming from the heart. That's not coming from the brain. The heart says, limitless possibilities, let me have them all. And the brain goes, no, no, that's too scary. I can't handle that. So it becomes kind of a war between the heart and the brain. And that's why our stuff comes up. Which one is going to be stronger? Well, which one are you feeding? Which one are you listening to? Now, sometimes it's a matter of just retraining the brain that you now have a different job description. And your job is not to keep me safe because the divine will keep me safe. And sometimes that's enough to make the brain just go, okay, well, let me step aside and observe. Okay, observing is a good thing for the brain to do. Really good thing. It does that really well. And when you say, okay, no, I want you to step aside and observe and not judge. Okay, all right. And we will talk about it later if there's anything you're concerned about. Okay. Sometimes we can actually do that and it works really well. Sometimes it takes a little bit more than that, but that is one technique that I have done pretty successfully and I share with you. Okay, so why does our stuff come up? Because we're trying to do something new. The brain is trying to keep us safe. Our decisions are really more heart-based, which sees all possibilities and no limitations, right? I mentioned briefly what, the brain can go through, hey, in a past life, this might have happened, and this can be kind of scary. And are you sure you want to do that again? And so, yeah, we could be talking about some things that have happened in the past that you don't even remember that could be influencing your thought patterns and your actions in this lifetime. So there are some ways to work with that, and I am going to show you one thing that I think can work very well for that. It may not work 100% the first time you do it. And the reason why, if it's in the past that far back, it may have a whole lot of tentacles all associated with different lifetimes up to this point. So you may get maybe these 5 tentacles, but then these things are still hanging out there and they're going to come back and kind of come up again. But that's okay. They won't come up as strongly. They won't come up as loudly. They'll be different, but they're still going to be there because we're always going to be working on ourselves. No judgment. We all have this. And, we ask for the highest and best. So if it's not for your highest and best to resolve all those tentacles in one time, okay, we allow for that, whatever that is. Allowing is a big word here with what we're doing and the way that we're doing it. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I'm just planting a seed right now that I really want you to think we're not doing, we're allowing. okay? Because we're working with source energy who has all the answers. And we don't have all the answers, or we would be using them right now, right? We wouldn't be on this call if we had all the answers. Okay. So you know how to recognize them, you know why they come up because you're doing something different, something that might be perceived as scary, but the heart really wants you to take that next step. And so then how does this get in your way? It limits you. Even when we're telling ourselves, I should be doing that. Oh, those should words. Oh my goodness, that is a limitation right there, right? Or sometimes there's an umbrella that says, oh, but this is really good for me, right? And that umbrella we think is like, okay, if it's really good for me, I should be doing it more. I should be doing it all the time. But that's just double limiting right there. Let me give you a perfect example of this. I was like, oh, this is why this happened to me. So I could use this as an example. So we were having dinner with some friends not too long ago, and the guy was going into great detail about a new diet he was on. Hey, everybody's different. Everybody needs their own diet. I don't think really that there's one size that fits all. I think we all have to kind of modify and adapt and everything. That's just my belief, but hey, that works for me. So he was going into great detail about his diet that works for him. Hey, great. I'm happy for you. The only problem was, well, it wasn't really a problem, but it was kind of an indicator to me that maybe this is out of balance a little bit. Is that all the way during dinner, he'd have a bite and he'd go, oh my God, how many carbs did I just have? And he had to go look it up. And oh my goodness, how many calories did I just have? Did I have enough fiber? And I mean, this went on for the whole dinner. So now to me, I'm trying not to judge, but it's like I think that's a little out of balance, right? It was limiting the divine flow. And pretty soon, what happens is then the subconscious starts getting kind of like, I don't know what you want. I can't give it to you. And so then the diet stops working because we're focused on what is not what needs to be, what should be, the perception of perfect. And pretty soon the body just goes, yeah, whatever. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, which then, you go, well, why is this diet not working? That's what can happen. And so you can see all the tentacles behind this under the guise of a good diet. It was just like, oh, thank you for this wonderful, demonstration of how even healthy things can be in our way, right? So, um, let's see here. I'm just checking to make sure. Okay. No, I think I'm looking for, okay. Okay. Um, all right. So, all right. How do they get in your way? They limit divine flow or redirect it in ways that don't help us, right? So I already mentioned one way, which is to have a dialogue with the brain and to help the brain kind of move to the side and be an observer, not the safety keeper, not the gatekeeper here, right? Okay, so that can work. There are times when it works better than others. So you can try that, see how that works for you. But here's another way. Um, and I have to write down my notes because I start talking and then I lose my train of thought here. Oh, this is a really good one. Okay. How about the thought or the belief or the saying? I already know all that. I already do all that. I caught myself doing this a couple weeks ago. And I went, fortunately, again, it was another wonderful, example of something to look at. Because once I listened to how that was coming across, I thought, now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let's look at this. Self-dialogue, right? And I said to myself, is this really true? Do I really know all that? Do I really do all that? And of course, the answer was no. Right? So I had to really take a look at that. And I thought, you know what? I think I've been holding myself back in ways I didn't realize just by that underlying thought pattern of, I already know all that, or I do all that. No, no, there's so much more out there, and what we don't know, right? So then the next thing I said to myself is, what would happen if this if I did allow myself to play full on? What would my life look like? What could it look like if I really played full on? I mean, I kind of thought I was telling myself I was playing full on, but I could see places where I wasn't. And what could my life look like if I really started to play full on? And all of a sudden I thought, oh, oh, I could see some places where I had been kind of limiting myself without recognizing it, holding back, not giving attention where maybe some of these places needed some attention. And I thought, all right, let me just try an experiment here. And for the next 4 weeks, I dedicated myself to playing full on with everything that was just coming up and being asked of me. I dedicated that. And I have to say, my life started to change in a big way, in ways I didn't expect it to. More doors opened, more intuition came in to guide me in the right direction. It was just like more of everything and easier. So, if you're having some roadblocks or you're not happy with where your life is going, ask yourself, are you playing full on? And what would your life look like if you did? And what will it take to say yes to those opportunities that will help you to play full on? That was huge for me. That was a game changer for me. Now, it may not be where you are right now, and I respect that, but I'll bet if you're on this call, I'll bet a lot of you are in that place right now. You're frustrated, you're stuck, and you don't know how to get out of it. Ask those questions. Those are good ones. Okay, here's another tool in your toolbox. Sometimes I don't know what the problem is. I just know that I'm frustrated and something's not working. So what do I do then? Well, I do two things. Let me give you the first one because this is the simplest. Before I go to sleep at night, I say to the angels, okay, or guides, whoever you're working with, highest and best only. I say, okay, I don't know what's going on, but I want to know what's going on and I want to know what to do about it. Or if you could help, that would be wonderful also. And I want it to all happen when I'm sleeping tonight. And I want to remember everything when I wake up so that I have full knowledge and awareness of what's going on and what was done, if anything, or what I need to do. Now that's a lot, but invariably I have a great sleep. I wake up and I go, wow. Oh my goodness, that was it. That was totally it. I got it. It was amazing. And half the time, more than half the time, it's already healed just because I asked. But maybe there's a few things I need to do. And so make sure you follow up on those and you'll know what they are. I mean, it's really crystal clear when you ask it to be crystal clear. That works really, really well when you don't know what's going on. Okay, the last thing is what we're going to do today. And so this works for everything. I mean, it works for like if you know what's happening, but you don't know what to do about it, or you don't know what's happening and don't know what to do about it, or maybe you just want some divine intervention here. And it's like, would you please take care of this for me because I am exhausted. I've been trying everything and nothing's working, or whatever you're saying to yourself, right? So that's what we're going to be doing today. And it really can happen pretty quickly. Now, you may not be 100% in that divine flow when we're done, but I'll bet you'll be in more than you are now. I can almost guarantee that part. Because when we invite the divine or source energy to come in and work with us and through us for our highest and best, we will always receive that. And when we don't try to direct it, tell the divine, I want $1 million by Monday, that kind of thing. When we don't direct it, then the divine has unlimited ways of coming in to help you. But when we try to tell the divine or source energy what to do, it will stop because that's not being the hollow bone. Now, that may be different from other modalities and therapies that you have studied, but we are doing this in the hollow bone way. And you're here because you wanted to know how to do that. So here you are. Okay. Phew. I threw a lot at you in 21 minutes. 6 months worth of stuff in 21 minutes, and you guys are still hanging in there. And I don't see any questions in the little chat box here. I don't see any hands coming up, so I think you've hung in there with me. But if you do have a question, now's a really good time to ask it. And then I'll tell you how we're going to do this, and I'll lead you there, and we'll see what happens. So exciting. Okay, I see a raised hand. Junie, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, I gotta figure out how
Okay.
to do that. um, Hello, good morning. I don't know what's blocking me,
Okay. Yep.
So through the years I've been working on. So should I just leave that open for while we do this? Show me what's blocking me and help me work through it.
That sounds like a good plan. Yeah.
So I mean, like I could say a lot of things I think, but what's really blocking me, I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a really good open-ended question. You're not directing it too much. You're just saying, "Hey, this is what I need help with, and can you help me out?" And
Right.
that's the key to just allowing. Sounds
Yep.
perfect.
Good. Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you. I'll bet that helped a whole lot of people here who were going, "Oh my goodness, how am I gonna do this?" Oh gosh, great question. Okay, anybody else? You can raise your hand, you can put something in the chat. Okay. Now, just one thing today,
I
right?
think Joe
Oh,
has a question. She's raising her hand.
okay. Thank you, Lisa. I didn't see on the screen because I wasn't looking at my screen. I was looking for a little hand. So, Joe, tell us what your question is.
Well, I think this is a wonderful idea, but I have some fear coming up
Yep.
because of a particular thing that's been landing with me.
Yep.
And so I need a little bit of direction on how to work with this.
Okay.
I have been adamantly staunch about never getting into a relationship again.
Okay.
Universe has been giving me these little nudges and little opening windows.
Yep.
And I've been putting very strict parameters around my request because of the fear from things in my past that were legitimate.
Yep.
And so I'm trying to open my heart a little,
Good.
but I'm very intuitive, and I'm also one of those people that has to learn to shut my aura because it blows out there and then I'm picking up everybody's energy.
Yep.
So this is really scary stuff for me.
Yep.
And all of a sudden I'm going, admitting to myself, yeah, it would be fun to have somebody to do something with, but these are the boxes I've got. So how can I use this tool you just gave us to overcome some of this and maybe move, I'm not going to go on a dating site or anything like that, but just move to a little more openness. Because my belief is that when you're open and ready,
Yeah.
the person will appear
Yep.
that's supposed to appear.
Yep. Boy, I can so relate to what you're saying. Because 20 years ago, before I met my partner, Leon, I was like adamant also, I am not getting in a relationship. Don't even think about it. I have the rest of my life. I'm going to be single. I don't care. Oh yeah, I had all the blocks too. And the angels and guides came in and they're like, no, no.
Yeah, I'm starting to get those messages.
So I think that for you right now, it's not about jumping into a relationship. It's about how can you safely open your heart? How can you heal and safely open your heart? And when you ask those questions, you're going to get a lot of love in the response, and it will be gentle, loving, and kind. And when we approach this with love, we get answers with love, which means that our answers are not about reliving pain. The answers are offered with love. So we allow for that. How does that feel to you?
Good. I lost your visual, so I don't know where you went, and I'm not sure what to hit. So, but I can
Oh,
hear you. Thank you for that. I
okay,
may have
good.
to go out and come back in to figure out where
Uh,
the picture went.
okay. Well, it looks like your camera's on, so maybe just hit a button that kind of moved me out of the way or something.
I don't know.
But
I'm back to something else.
okay.
Anyway, thank you.
All right. I hope that helps. Okay, let me see here in the chat. As I listen to you speak on this subject, I requested that my guides bring to my mind, my awareness, the blockage that I am ready to release. Love it. Love it. And always ask them to help you. Yes. Yes. Allowing is huge. Allowing is everything. Yep. Good job. Good job. Yeah, allowing in general, yeah, kind of living our life, allowing the divine or source energy to just work through us all the time. This is how we live this. Yay. Yay. Way to pick up a wonderful message ahead of time. Whew, you guys are good. You guys are pros at this. Oh my gosh, what a wonderful group. Okay. I am just checking to see, is there anybody else? Let me change my view here so I can see everybody. Okay. Anybody else waving their hand or have a, oh, no, I thought I saw a hand raised, but nope. Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start in a wonderful, serene, beautiful place of peace. Yay, peace. Remember that? Sometimes it can feel like it was so long ago when we last felt peace. So we're going to start there. And from that place, we're going to invite in our highest and best helpers. Could be angels, could be archangels, ascended masters, could be spirit of love or divine spirit of love, could be a divine spirit of compassion. Sometimes they don't even have a name because they just want you to recognize their essence and they want you to feel the love. That's how you know this is real, is when you can feel, sense, and know that love that's coming from them. Now, it may not be so palpable if you've been doing this for a long time, but maybe you just have a knowing of it. Honor that. Knowing is huge. So when they come in, we're going to give them time to just work with us. Whether you're seeing them, hearing them, feeling them, knowing, sensing in multiple ways. You may get direct messages. You may just get a sense because love doesn't really have words. Love is just an energy vibration. Eventually the words will come through the brain, but for now you may just have feelings or sensations. And it should feel good. If it doesn't, maybe pause and do it again. Kind of get into that loving state and invite in the loving beings. And I'm going to be quiet during that time that they're working with you because you might be receiving healing. You might be receiving messages. You might be receiving both. You might not have a clue what's happening. And that's really normal too. But just allow for your highest and best. What can it hurt? It's not going to. And then when I get this little tap on the shoulder, bring them back. Then we come back. If you want to stay on and share, you can do so. If you want to stay in that zone, because it's a really juicy, wonderful zone, and maybe you don't feel finished yet, then maybe you want to leave the meeting so that you have that privacy to do that and not being sidetracked by other people. And it's optional to share, but sharing does help people. It helps others, right? Because you might have something that happened to them or that they experienced and now they're understanding it better, or it's helping them to remember something that happened and they can go deeper with it. Or an explanation just triggers something else entirely different, but it can be very helpful for others. So, okay, so that's what we're going to do. Yes, highest and best. Definitely. Okay, I'm just reading the chat here. Okay, kittens and rainbows, but yeah, we're living life, right? And we are here to experience life in all the ways we can experience it. And that doesn't always mean, you're right, kittens and rainbows. It can mean that we have chosen some really hard ways to grow, and maybe we wouldn't have grown if they weren't hard. We are tough and we are strong souls, and we can do this. Okay, let's turn off our videos so we can truly meditate deeply and well. Oh, yay. And thank you all for being here. What a blessing to have such an advanced group today for a tough, tough subject. So just take a few long, slow, deep breaths. Maybe in through the nose and out the mouth. Feeling yourself relax a little bit more with each exhale. And just allowing your heart to be the leader here in this meditation. So that means just removing all thought and being present in this moment now. Focusing on your breath. And remembering a beautiful place in nature where you feel very peaceful. Very much at one with nature, surrounded in beauty, in whatever way you define beauty. Feeling that beauty and smelling the fragrances that are so unique to your area. Feeling that temperature of the day on your skin and noting that it's perfect for you. And just observing the rich details with your inner eyesight, particularly the details that help you really appreciate the peace and serenity and the beauty in this place where you are. You might be noticing certain colors as they stand out to you. And while every color has meaning, we're going to just focus on a few of them for now. Beginning with the color green, which is so prevalent in nature. Even in the winter and even in the desert, you'll find green. Because this is nature's healing color. Color of rebirth and renewal and regeneration. Just see if you can smell that color green or taste that color green. And take in all that healing that Mother Nature has to offer you through all of your senses. And it's almost like you're becoming green. I also invite you to notice the color blue wherever you are in nature. The color of peace and serenity, and certainly the angels. Just really take in that color, smelling it, tasting it, wrapping yourself in it. Bringing in all that peace and serenity along with the healing. And feeling yourself relax a little more. And there's another color that wants to come in that might surprise you, and this is the color yellow. You might notice this in a bright yellow or a buttercup yellow or something even softer or midway. Yellow is about the healing of the mind. And just allow for that as you inhale the fragrance of yellow and taste the taste of yellow. And feel the relaxation of your thought patterns. And there's one more that wants to come in today, and that's what I would describe as a clear but radiant rainbow light. So it's clear in one way, and yet it shimmers with all colors of the rainbow, kind of like a bubble, a soap bubble does. And that's just a balancing color, balancing all chakras, balancing all of your layers, levels, dimensions of yourself, bringing in a divine harmony, allowing for that, sensing that channel as it runs directly through your center. Feeling and sensing any of the work that's being done just by inviting in color. The changes that are being made, the adaptations, the shifting, the transformations. And I invite you to hear a very special tone. This tone is otherworldly, hard to imitate, and one that only you can hear. Think of this as a healing, balancing tone as well, that you are inviting into all parts of you. And just feeling, sensing, knowing. All the healing that comes with this, all the balance that's coming in. Oh, very nice. You may be aware that there may be other helpers here for you. And maybe you don't even need them. But you might. And if so, they're there. Sensing them in the way that's right for you, whether you see them or hear them or get a color or form or formlessness, or you have a knowing. And that wave of loving energy that comes in to match all that peace, serenity, and balance and harmony that you have just created within yourself, which is just another form of love. Your helpers matching that love, enveloping you with love. Between the colors and the tone and other help you might be receiving, I'll just be really quiet so that you can deepen your experience. Just feeling the energy and allowing yourself to have more time if you need that. And when you are feeling complete for now, knowing you can always come back to this place again and do some more. You can take a deep breath and just allow for that pranic adjustment as you exhale. And for those of you wanting to stay in your beautiful place, I invite you to leave the meeting at this time. And for those of you that would like to bring yourselves back, maybe to share your experience or listen to others sharing, just begin to become aware of your surroundings. Feeling the energy, bringing yourself back into your body. When you're ready, you can open your eyes and you can turn on your video. Just taking a deep breath and letting it out slowly. Hey, hey. Giving you a minute to kind of process or to write things down if you're a writer. Speak them into a voice recorder of some kind. Ah, lovely. And then, if you'd like to share, I invite you. You have two ways. You can put something in the chat, or you can unmute. Joni.
Okay. I didn't hear. I kept asking, would you please tell me where my blocks are? Is that not my personality? For those of you who don't know, I'm waiting.
Oh my goodness.
I said it very kindly, very nicely, but I didn't hear anything. So, but I thought this was weird. As I was laying there, I felt someone push my shoulder down.
Ah,
Not that my shoulder was up, because I laid flat on the floor. And
oh,
then I saw it was not clear at all, but it was little gold dots coming in.
oh,
And then a little while later, is wiggly lines of gold.
nice.
Like, again, it wasn't clear.
Right.
I did see some movement around me. I'm like, okay, why
Wow.
won't you tell me where my I said, even, I asked, what can you share with me any of my blocks that I can work on? I didn't hear anything, but we all know I have blocks to work on. So I don't know. Maybe it'll come to me later. Plus, too, my dog was nipping at my head while I was laying down. So, uh, but the other thing the lady was talking about closing off her heart. I didn't realize that when I did that too, I closed myself off from friends and even like romantic friends that aren't gonna like marry me,
Right.
like just
Right.
so it was, so I've opened up. I'm trying to, as much as possible, to allow any kind of loving relationship to come into my life.
Yeah.
And I thought, I've already been through a heck of a lot,
Ah.
I'll get over that too if it's, learning lesson or whatever it is. So I just, that was big for me to like say, I welcome
Oh.
all loving relationships.
Oh,
So,
that's
but
huge.
I think it's something you just have to keep saying and
Mm.
keep it in your heart and soul, because you can say it and think it, but are you really opening, so
Healing is a really big thing for hearts, because we all have ways that we've closed our hearts and reasons to close our hearts.
mm,
And when our hearts are closed, it limits the divine flow of
right,
energy
the
in
flow.
all aspects, not
Yep.
just relationships, but everything's limited. So, yeah, you can always ask for healing.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to go back to what you were saying, where I know you desperately want to hear your guides. I understand that. Um, but do you realize all the ways that they were communicating with you?
Yeah, I was very appreciative of that. I'm like, oh, that's coming in, and they must think I'm really smarter than I am, because I am like, what does that mean? Like, what is that?
Well, that's where we are, right? I mean, this is how we figure it out, though, is because
Yeah, so
it comes in, and then we have to ask,
like,
what is that?
and like, I really felt my shoulder move. I was like, well, who
Yes,
moved my shoulder? Like,
yes.
so yeah, I don't.
Now, was it your left shoulder? Because that's what you
It was my left shoulder.
okay.
I'm dominantly right.
Okay, so the left side of the body is the feminine side, right? The intuitive side. And so is it possible that that's where one of your blocks is and they were taking you very literally?
Yeah, we're gonna show you. It's right here. Could be.
So now the next question will be, can you help me heal this? Right?
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
did say that. I did say, well, while we're together right now, can you help me heal whatever blocks I have? Since I'm not necessarily hearing, but I did take notice of everything that was going on, like you said, like, what
Yeah.
does that mean?
Right. And
So,
even
but
to your
that's cool that you say it's the intuitive side.
Mhm, mhm. And even to your dog nipping on your head, like where on your head?
On the right side. She was like chewing on my hair, and then she came and laid down beside me. So
Okay.
she did calm down, but
On your right side too?
mhm,
Okay. And it's a female dog.
female dog. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. So, just because we're human and we can have more than one block, it's possible that, what she was trying to do is help bring in more balance, right? With your masculine power side, right?
Right.
Which wants to drive through everything and make
Yes.
everything, yeah.
Yes.
So,
That is my
yeah,
personality.
right, right. And the more we start looking at the signs that we're getting, it starts to kind of become a rabbit hole. But I do invite you to go into that rabbit hole and just see what else comes up for you and
Okay.
see what intuition brings, and if in doubt, go back into a meditation and ask, hey, what's this about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Who else would like to share? Just
I'll
in
share.
Oh, thank you.
I just kind of have to giggle because like others, I said, show me where any of my blocks are so that they can be healed and released, and I can be on my highest and best timeline. And I said, and if at all possible, will you help me with my lower back? And I actually was, before you even got to the bubble, I was standing in like a waterfall, an energetic waterfall of all these different colors going straight through my body and then tingling throughout different parts of my body. And when I was asking for my highest and best and who would come forward, it was very interesting. Archangel Metatron and Archangel Raphael came, and they have a sense of humor because they said, okay, they pulled on a welder's mask and pulled it down and said, we're going in. And they had a torch, like a laser torch, like a plasma torch. And in my lower back and in my glute area, they were going in. And I said, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not, it's kind of, I don't see and I don't hear, but it's more of that sense of knowing. And they said, we're going around the bone to make room for the nerve.
Oh.
And I was like, well, that's interesting. And I'm like, for what reason is this happening? And I got this flash, probably past life or whatever, of being stomped on by a horse. And I thought, well, that's very interesting because I've also had an incident several years ago when I was on a subway. I stood up to let a man out and the train jerked forward, and the subway armrest literally hit me in my glute, and I almost fell off when I took a step. It must have innervated, or whatever the word is, the nerve to where it wouldn't then control the leg. And ever since then, I've had problems. I sometimes have to sleep in a chair because I can't lay flat all the time because it's so painful. But there was just a tremendous amount of love, and it was so sweet. And I almost didn't come back. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to lay here. And they're like, okay, we're done. And left.
Took their welder's masks and left, huh? Wow.
It was interesting.
That's amazing. So how do you feel? Are you in pain or no?
Well, not right now. I'll know tonight when I go to lay
Yeah.
flat to see
Yeah.
if it comes back.
Yeah. Interesting. You never know what's for the highest and best, and we can't make this stuff up. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, Joe.
So this was very interesting because when I'm releasing whatever, I actually get physical reactions. And this happened almost continuously throughout this.
Wow.
And I don't know what they are, but this will happen to me in the middle of the night. But I had a lot of clearing going on through this thing. And at first, what happened was my shoulders would shake, almost like you have a chill, a shimmy. And then that stopped. And then as you're going through the different colors, then my head would start going like this involuntarily. And I just relax into whatever it is. And I've had a stiff neck this week, so I've had a lot of releases going on, and now I can turn my neck because I had some blockages. Then it moved, and it was like my hips were shimmying and all the way down my legs, and I could feel the energy actually going down out my feet. And then it went back again to the shoulders, but they started rotating like I was rowing a boat. And then they started going other direction. I mean, I was starting to laugh. And then as you went through the different chakra colors and the different things, you know, different body parts would respond. And then near the end, when you said you might have helpers, I could definitely see the guides, you know, not physically, but the energy of them. And there were two blue ones and there was a yellow one that came in, and they were there for a few minutes. And then I just felt very relaxed after the whole thing. And with the breath, then I just kind of let everything else, I bent forward, let everything kind of else go down and ground. It was really beautiful. I feel great.
Oh my gosh, and your energy is completely different from
Yeah.
before the meditation.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's exciting.
One quick question, and I don't know the protocols because I don't want to say anything I shouldn't, but I used to suffer with back pain from some things, and I have a resource that might help Donna. How can I get that information to her?
You can do you have access to the chat?
I think I can. Yeah.
Okay. In the chat down at the bottom where you can send a message, you can choose Donna Marie
Okay, I will
as
try to
her.
find that.
Okay.
Thank
And then otherwise it would go to everybody. But yeah, which
you.
probably is okay too. There's probably more than one person with a back problem. So
Well, I went to, here's my quick story. I went to a chiropractor for 28 years. I suffered greatly. I found this. I don't need to go to a chiropractor anymore. My back doesn't hurt anymore.
wow, that's
So I
significant.
want to share this.
You
Actually, I
never,
can put it in to share it with anybody if you.
yeah, why don't you go ahead and do that? Yeah,
Let me
that
see.
would be perfect because I'm sure other people or everybody knows somebody, right, that is suffering. Yes. Thank you so much, Joe. Who else would like to share? You can just unmute.
Fran, you can unmute yourself. Fran, I see your hand. You can unmute.
Oh, there's Fran. Yep, go ahead and unmute, Fran. There you go.
I was, even though I have several things going on, I decided I don't really know which is the best one to work with.
Mhm.
So I was able to not to listen to what you said and not choose,
Good.
and just to ask for connection.
Good.
And I did. I was surprised that I received this connection, and since I follow Buddhism, it came to me in imagery from Buddhism.
Mhm.
And I call her Vajra Yogini, and I just had the sensation first of just loving energy.
Mhm.
Something like I feel often when I do Reiki.
Yeah.
And somehow the words came that this is beyond the worldly objects, beyond the worldly activities, where my mind was just in the deep loving awareness without seeing any object or any person or anything. It was just a sensation of loving awareness and safety. And that in that safety part is when my being could relax enough to feel safe enough to heal.
Ooh, that's wonderful.
I don't know if any healing will occur, but it's still a good place to be in, and to know that I need to be in that place for healing to occur.
Mhm. Yes. Wow, that's huge, Fran. And just that feeling safe enough to heal, that phrase is so poignant.
Well, for me, it's really, really essential because I've had some trauma in my early life,
Mhm.
and that's probably still a big block, that trauma.
Yep.
And it seems to me one can't be in the parasympathetic aspect of one's nervous system, if there's such a thing, in that level. But I do want to say that when you go into healing mode, I can barely hear you.
I know.
And I wish that I mean, I have my sound on 95
Uh-huh.
out of 100.
Uh-huh.
So I just have to imagine what you're saying.
Yeah, and yeah, I understand that. And if you have a headset, that really does help.
Okay, I'll
yeah.
try to look for one.
Okay. And it could be just earbuds, it doesn't have to be real fancy or anything,
Right,
but
of course,
yeah, that magnification really
right.
helps.
So
Yeah.
when you're just doing instruction like now,
Mhm.
I hear you fine.
Yeah.
It's when you go into healing mode
Yeah.
that your voice gets lower and lower.
Yep. Yep. I understand that. Yeah. I, yep. I don't seem to be able to control that one yet. Mhm. Well, thank you for all that sharing. Wow. Powerful.
So perhaps in other cultures, there's another symbol for that transcendent awareness beyond everyday activity, people, things, objects, whatever. That there's another symbol that I guess maybe that's what you mean by angel. So this Vajrayani Yogini could be like an angel.
But it is definitely a helper, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. If you're more comfortable with that phrase, that you were using, use that. Yeah, it doesn't have to be an angel. Yeah. Whew, thank you. I see some things in the chat here, so I wanted to make sure. Lovely energy went to my childhood happy place. No longer exists in the physical, just in my memories. Very peaceful. Got interrupted a few times in the first half of the meditation by people coming in and out of my room, made it hard for me to immerse back in fully, but what I was able to get was very nice. Got this sensation of spinning and turning. Perception of rotation went on for a while. I wonder, it says, it made me wonder if chakra work was being done. Tried not to focus on defining it too much. We shall see what comes over the next few days. I will be paying attention. Yes. Yes. Now, that rotation is very interesting to me because it could mean that your sacred geometry was getting a fix also. When we all have sacred geometry around our form, around our body, and some of it has been activated in past lives, some of it has not. Some of it gets activated in this lifetime, depending on what you're doing. And sometimes in the activation process, depending on what activates it, it can be rotating or spinning when it shouldn't be, or spinning in a clockwise or counterclockwise direction when it shouldn't be, doing one or the other. And we don't always know because we don't know what we don't know. So when people talk about a rotation, I always think that it's probably the sacred, well, what feels right is that it's the sacred geometry around you that's been corrected so that the first place you'll probably notice it would be in your physical form, and then the rest kind of fills in, the emotions, the mental, and then your spiritual awakening can happen more easily. So I don't know if that helps, but yeah, thank you for sharing that. Okay. Oh, John Barnes, sure. Myofascial release. Yeah, he's in Sedona. Yeah. Yeah, great. Thank you, Joe, for that. And yep, thank you, Laura. And let's see, wait, Mindy was gonna say I have to have, yeah. Yeah, I know. It's weird, isn't it? All right, well, we've got really interesting stuff going on, stuff you just couldn't make up. And if you were going to make something up, would you have made that up? Right? This is how we always know, oh, it must be real. Anybody else want to share? Just unmute if you do. Well, all right. It has been delightful to work with you today. And I have to say, today was a perfect example of how being the hollow bone just kind of takes over and has its own way of doing things, because that wasn't the meditation I thought I was going to do. And I think it was so much better than the one I thought I was going to do. But I was so surprised at what was coming out. It was just like, wow, oh, I like this. Oh, this is cool. So just wanted to share that because you never know. You never know what's going to happen with a hollow bone. It's all perfect.